Hello, dear. It's Heather, and you are watching Save Today with Heather J. I am somebody who has spent her entire adult life living paycheck to paycheck and being one life event away from financial crisis. As a way of life, that cannot continue. It's not sustainable. It's really uncomfortable. It's very scary, and it needs to change. I have a lifetime of behaviors I need to change. And so we're gonna work on that journey together. Today I'm filming my July paycheck number 1 setup. For me, July is the month of July is from June 30th to July 27th, and my paycheck number 1 is June 30th to July 13th. I am an hourly, not salaried employee. I work full-time, which for my company is anywhere from 32 to 40 hours a week. I make $20.85 an hour. So taking all of that into account, $20.85 an hour times 38 hours a week times 2 weeks, take away 25% with taxes. What I have estimated is $1,188.45, $1188.45. I do have this other line in my, this isn't working out well to have that be the thing that covers, that's not working out well. All right, let's do paper instead. So $1188.45 is my estimated income for this pay period. I do have another line. I don't have another income where I would always expect to have this filled or frequently expect to have this filled. I don't get child support. I don't work a second job. I don't have any investments or annuities where I would be receiving any kind of consistent payment on that. So my income estimation is $1,188.45 for this 2-week period. My fixed expenses, I only have 2 for this particular, that come out this particular check. One is my rent, which is $853, and the other is my phone, which in this pay period is just $47.30. Now, I did not pay my phone bill in June because of some, I had 3 life events, 2 unexpected kind of show up in June, and because of that, I did end up having to make payment arrangements for my June phone bill. I was unable to get that taken care of in June. So my payment arrangement splits it up into 2 payments, one and then a second one 2 weeks later. So for this pay period, it's just the $47.30, which makes my fixed expenses $900.30. Then in my flexible spending is groceries, dining out, transportation, art, and miscellaneous. These are the areas where I have a little bit more control, and these are the areas where my spending can vary greatly. And I don't really know until after the money's gone what that's going to end up being. So my groceries, I have estimated $110 a week for $220 for this pay period. I know, because I did this in May and June, that $110 a week is really not realistic. It's not a comfortable amount of spending at the cost that groceries are right now, especially because I do, meat's expensive. Fresh fruits and vegetables can be expensive and can go bad quickly. And I like some quality ingredients. There are some things where I just have reached a point in my life that I'm just not getting the cheapest option there is, because the cheap option is gross. The biggest example is butter. I do get real butter, which is significantly more expensive than a margarine type of thing. But at this point, I'm not sacrificing that. Also, my coffee creamer, I don't get the cheapest option for my coffee creamer because the cheapest option for that creamer is unpleasant. I don't enjoy it. I've played this game enough in my life to know where I need quality and where I don't have to have the name brand. So $220 just isn't enough, and I'm not willing to sacrifice some of the things that where quality matters. And that's not to say that every single thing I get is, the top of the line name brand. Whatever canned vegetables, most of the time, I don't notice a significant difference in, and I'm willing to buy the cheaper thing, especially if I'm mixing it in something else and not having it as its own one-off. Anyway, then my next thing is dining out. Dining out is an area where I struggle greatly. I knew that going into this. I have shared my struggle with every single one of your videos. But I don't have any money to set aside for dining out this month. Any dining out I do this month is absolutely going to sacrifice something somewhere else. So I'm not putting anything in the budget. I am being very conscious of the fact that my budget is as tight as it is this month. If I'm being honest with myself and being honest with you guys, it is entirely likely that I will at some point spend something for my dining. But by putting that $0, first of all, I don't have it to put in there, but having zero lets me know every single time I go out, I know I'm absolutely sacrificing something. There's no pretending this month that that is available for me. Then my transportation, I have estimated $80. I do my estimations using gas at $3.79 a gallon, and my gas tank is 10 gallons. I definitely am that person who waits till the light comes on to let me know it's empty, and then I go fill it up, and I tend to hold just slightly over 10 gallons in my gas tank. So I know gas prices have gone down some, but I'm not going to adjust that because they're not going to stay down. And then I do take the bus to work on days where the weather is good, and that's an option for me, and that's $1 each way. So I have estimated $80 in this pay period for a total of 2 fill-ups and 6 to 8 trips going to work on the bus. Art is a category that's very important to me, and I need to make sure I set funds aside for it based on the project at hand. I do, for this pay period, have $0 estimate in this budget. The project I'm working on is fairly old, and at this point I have already purchased all of the things I may think I'm going to need, and I don't have the funds to purchase anything else in this category. And it will be easy at this point for me to either not get it or choose to wait until the next month or things loosen up. And then my miscellaneous category, I also have $0 in the budget for that. Miscellaneous for me is kind of those one-off things I didn't expect to happen, or things where I have to make a special trip to go and get it. It's not in the normal stops and routines. It's not something I'm going to pick up getting gasoline or groceries and doing the things I normally do. I have to go make a special trip for that. And at this point, I have $0 in the budget. I don't have, again, my budget is so tight this month, I just don't have the extra funds. The example I use over and over again is if I were to go and get, a shower curtain and shower rings. That to me falls under miscellaneous. It's a one-off thing. I'll probably do that once or twice a year. It's not part of my monthly groceries. Anything that I'm choosing to get under this category, I just am not going to choose to get that. But also things that come up in this category are unexpected things. Now, last month I had to go a couple of times and copy some tax paperwork to get some taxes taken care of. Those kinds of things come up unexpectedly and have to be dealt with and will fall underneath this miscellaneous category. And if those things happen this pay period, I will obviously be adding that in, and that's going to have to take a hit somewhere else in here. So my total flexible spending is estimated to be $300. So when we go over my ending balance, my income is estimated at $1,188.45, fixed expense of $930, flexible expenses at $300, which means I finish out this pay period estimated to be $11.85 over budget. Obviously, if I do actually go $11.85 over budget, I will then end up with an overdraft fee in my bank account. So that can't happen, and I have to be watching this very, very closely as I do any spending this pay period. Typically, when I do this estimate for my income, I do tend to underestimate my hours and overestimate my taxes by just a tiny bit for each of those. So far, this has been slightly higher than I have estimated. So it is my hope and assumption that this negative 1185 will end up being eaten into this overspending. But if it's not, it also can impact what I'm doing for groceries and what I'm doing for gasoline. So this, I can't go over, but right now I don't know where in the budget that's going to be sacrificed. So that is how I finish out my estimates for this month. It's an extremely tight month. I'm trying to get my possessions shipped to me from out of state in those U-Haul boxes, and that is holding up some of my money. And there's a car repair bill that took a lot of money and is continuing to take some money outside of this budget. And there is a surgery that is happening that has a pre-op payment that is happening outside of this budget that's having a significant impact on how much there is available. Mostly because some money that I had from last month has had to be moved over to that, and then it will come back later back into this income as those other things are adjusted. So for those of you who are new here, I will let you know that I choose to bring some of my craft and my art into the back end of this channel. I do that as motivation for myself to keep myself engaged. As you just saw, my budget is something I find very discouraging. It's very hard to look at that. No, I'm working so hard in my hours and in my, I don't have any, anyway, that budget's tight. It's very discouraging. It's hard to look at. It's hard, you can't be happy about that. So I've chosen to bring some of my craft and my art and this thing that creates joy and peace into my channel so that I can kind of counterbalance what's very discouraging with something that's very positive and uplifting. So I've chosen to add some crafting into that. You'll see that in the background of my videos underneath my book, and I'm going to talk about it at the end of my video. So today, for the month of July, I'm working on a Christmas in July project, which if you may recall is this Christmas stocking I'm working on. Now this is just the front piece. I do have to do a back piece and a lining and the ruff for that. This style is a crazy quilting style where it's a bunch of mismatched patchwork that kind of sort of goes together. It initially all these pieces separately, you think what's going on, but once you get it pulled together and get all your stitches, it makes a very cohesive whole. My son wanted a Nightmare Before Christmas themed stocking because he really likes that movie, and so that's where I was going with this, and I've been very pleased with how this turned out. I have a lot of really weird Halloween colors, non-traditional colors. I have flames on here. These are very non-traditional Christmas things, but I think it came together very, very well and certainly fits the theme of the Nightmare Before Christmas. I was making this Jack Skellington kind of 3D out of some Fimo clay and some fabric, and the difference in this is just that I did finally get his little vest chest piece and his bow tie sewn on, and I got his coat closed. I've got these pieces kind of attached, so that's the only difference from the last video and this video that I have made to progress this forward. Again, I just had one day after work that I was able to work on this, so I just you wouldn't think it to look at that, but that's probably about 2.5 hours worth of work to get this situated, because there's a lot of stopping and starting and readjusting as things go on. And I'm honestly not 100% pleased with how this skeleton is fitting within this jacket. I actually did stitch the skeleton to the jacket, so it doesn't really have a whole lot of up and down, mostly because I didn't want it to slide down into the pants and disappear. But I may end up having to undo where I've stitched that in so that I can stitch it up a little bit higher, because I definitely want that. Well, but then if I don't know, this Fimo clay Jack Skellington and his little pinstripe suit has been something that I have battled with the entire time. That is why I got hung up in 2014, and here it is now 2023. You know, this is 9 years in the works for this. So I got hung up several times on this. And I'm still not really 100% pleased with where this is going. But I'm not going to stop it. At this point, it's either going to be done to a point where I'm not 100% happy, because, I mean, it's a unique one-off, and it's going to be much better than anything you're going to go buy at Hobby Lobby for $8 or whatever they are. They're probably $38 now. So it's going to be fine. I just am my own worst critic, as all artists are. But the one thing I really wanted to show you today was, I'm going to just flip that over here. This was my drawing of what I wanted that kind of Jack Skellington costume to kind of look like. This was my roadmap, if you will, because it's definitely not a very solid pattern. It's just kind of a rough idea of what I wanted that to look like initially. And then underneath that, I have, this is all of the attempts that I made trying to get that jacket right. Working on my pinstripes with different stitches, and these are my pattern pieces that I drew. I did these pair of pants, and then they were not, this waist wasn't deep enough. So this has been over and over and over and over again trying to get this right. I just, with this visual, I kept all of these pieces. I keep all of the parts and pieces until my project is complete, even when it sits in limbo for 9 years. They're all kept together. And so this was just funny when I found this all wrapped up, all of these pieces and parts. This is a very accurate representation of the struggle that I went through trying to get this over and over and over and over again, and it just wasn't coming out. I'm pleased enough with how the jacket and pants came out now, but I was disappointed with how that little piece of ribbon, his little vest, if you will, that little ruffle, and his red bow tie turned out. So I don't know if I'm going to allow that discouragement to cancel. I don't know if I'm going to change anything about that or leave it the way it sits. But that's where I'm at today, and that is it for today's video. Not a whole lot of progress on my project, just a tiny little bit, you know, microscopic steps forward. That's how we work around here. And then just a setup for July's paycheck number 1. That's where we're at. So thank you for joining me today. And again, wherever you are and whatever it is you're doing today, please have fun. Bye-bye now.